my screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So thanks data community for inviting me. I'm I'm Amit Chandak. I'm data platform MVP, Microsoft Power BI community super user. I'm a YouTuber running a channel with my own name, and I'm also a chief analytics officer at Canerica. And in case you wanted to connect with me, you can connect on LinkedIn. That's the best way to reach out to me. But yes, at the end of the session, I do share out all the links which I have. So okay, so thank you everyone who have joined my YouTube channel and those who are connected me on LinkedIn. So I have 2.5 million views, which I crossed some time back. So thank you everyone who has watched my videos, and thanks everyone who is following me on LinkedIn for crossing the 30K mark. So looking forward to it. See, in this era we are little confused with the rise of AI, and every day we are getting this news, this code is now can be done by AI, this code can be done by AI. So and this is a very generic statement, GPT is just one example. So should we be afraid, or how are we going to be replaced? So so the thing here is basically, if GPT codes your vision, you will raise with innovation. Means basically, if you have the vision what GPT is supposed to do, or any Anthrax or any AI tool supposed to do, definitely we are going to excel. But if we are just saying, okay, I need this code, and we are just using that, if you are following what GPT or Anthrax or AI is creating, then we will be replaced by automation. So we need to have a bigger vision while reusing these tools, that we need to have more knowledgeable. We need to do a little more hard work going, because today education also become very easier. If you look at some of these cases, that you can just go and search for the code and you can get it. But the thing, as a learner, what we have to do is, we don't have to try it out using AI. We have to try a little harder before we go ahead and take a code from there. And if we are taking a code, make sure that we understand it, so that we are not falling in the trap of this automation getting us replaced. So that's the one thing. Okay, I usually have a free Power BI course, so some of those who wanted to join can scan this link. And so I know most of you might be aware of Microsoft Fabric, but just for everyone's reference, Microsoft has launched Microsoft Fabric in 2023 May as a public preview. And in the same year, Microsoft has made Microsoft Fabric GA general available in the November 2023. See, Microsoft was having this entire data ecosystem previously also. We have Azure, where you can have your ADF, you have Databricks, you have Synapse, and you have many other things which were there. So why does there is a need of any integrated platform? So first of all, let's understand Microsoft Fabric. So what we call Fabric is a unified solution. So as per definition, we say Microsoft Fabric is an end-to-end analytics and data platform designed for the enterprise that require unified solution. What does unified means? You should have data movement, processing, ingestion, transformation, real-time routing, report building. So from the data ingestion, transformation, to the real time or the big data, to the report building, everything we should be able to do it in one system. So this particular ecosystem, Microsoft Fabric, it offers a comprehensive suite of services, including data engineering, data factory, data science, real-time analytics, data warehouse, and even databases. So a recent addition last year was SQL database. It means you can run your OLTP load on this OLAP system. This is a OLAP system, basically online analytical processing system, but you can also run your transactional system by using SQL DB, which is nothing but very similar to your Azure SQL. Now, while Microsoft ecosystem has all these things already available, what they found out that all of them need separate computes, separate storage, and even the formats are different. Let's say Power BI doesn't understand the Synapse format, and Synapse doesn't understand Power BI format. The Lakehouse doesn't understand Warehouse format, and Warehouse doesn't understand Lakehouse format. So sometimes we are unnecessarily creating copies. Also, our systems, sometimes they run, some of the systems run mostly on night, some of the systems run in day. We are unnecessarily paying for full committed computes. So Microsoft Fabric brings us the solution for that. It comes based on a unified lake architecture, one lake, where entire your data stats decide. So Microsoft has done ground up work to create this unified architecture and unified experience. When you look at the UI, you will find that everything is belonging to one single same system. Similar kind of option, similar place you will find the things. If you right click everywhere, or you want to create a shortcut, or when you want to save the file or do anything, you will get the options at the same place. So we got a one lake where everything is going to be stored. Then we can use common compute for all these workload, whether you are using data engineering workload, SQL workload, or whether you are using data warehousing workload. For all of them, you will be able to use the single compute. But definitely, as a bigger organization, you might need multiple compute. So there is a possibility of using multiple compute, and that can be separated out at the workspace level. Finally, the bigger difference came because of this, all these lake houses or warehouses and all other ecosystem which we have for the data storage. They saved tabular data or the structured data into one single format, and that format is named as delta. The complete name is delta packet. And what delta does, it this format does for us is basically it's a columnar format, so allows us to save a lot of space when we save it. The biggest thing which happens is that Power BI can read from this, data warehouse can read and write, lakehouse can read and write. So we are not creating unnecessary copies of data in Microsoft Fabric just because the two technology doesn't understand each other. So that's what the Microsoft Fabric is. Now Microsoft Fabric has Copilot everywhere. Every UI you go, you will see a Copilot icon. If it is not there, it is getting added. So we cannot touch all of them today, but we are going to try to touch Copilot today. And then we have Data Agent. Data Agent is basically talk to your data. We are going to try out. Data Agent has evolved over a period of time. So every time we go, we will see some enhancement in the UI, and that's the talk of the town right now. We may say, right now we are seeing data agents. Now we will have, further head toward agentic AI and, further data agents which can do more job. Right now they're answering data. Maybe tomorrow they may be able to create, data flows gen from scratch, or creating your pipeline from scratch. Right now they're not doing that kind of job, but yes, inside data flow gen 2 you have Copilot, but there is nothing like, I go and ask, okay, create this, and it just creates that. Maybe we can see some of these things in future. And so we are ready here to unlock this. And for doing this, what we are going to do is we are going to directly jump onto the Power BI. And for that, let me share my screen again with the Power BI UI. And let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Yes, it is visible, Amit.
Okay, so I'm here on app.powerbi.com, which is Power BI experience of Fabric. If you see experience Power BI, we also have Microsoft Fabric, which is app.powerbi.app, which is app.fabric.microsoft.com, which also going to take you to the Fabric experience. But from there, you can go to individual experience if you need, just like you are in here Power BI experience. In Microsoft Fabric, there is nothing like Pro or PPU user. We definitely need user kind of a license Pro or PPU in case you want to create reports, but you need to have a capacity. Capacity is must in case of Microsoft Fabric, and you can work with Microsoft Fabric only when you have the workspace, which is having Microsoft free capacity, which we call the trial capacity or paid capacity. For Copilot, it's not free. You need to have paid capacity. Minimum F2 can also do the job. Now there are enablement settings which are available under the admin portal. So you can go to the admin portal from the settings left hand top, click on admin portal, and inside the admin portal, for the permission which is needed to run Microsoft Fabric is use and create Fabric items. And then there are other permissions which keep on coming. Like one of permission, you can say enable operations agent, and the similar kind of allow Power BI can see alert buttons and all those. And similarly, when you are using Copilot, if your region doesn't have it, you also need cross-region permissions for AI to use. So those also need to be enabled. And sometime it may not work on India tenant, because right now we don't have India tenant. Some of the India tenant doesn't have the Copilot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the one of the workspaces. Left hand side, I have an option for that workspace. If I can. So we have 0101 Fabric Copilot, that is my workspace. And in this workspace, I have a Fabric paid capacity. I'm going to showcase you that. Give me a second. So if I go to my workspace setting, in the workspace setting, I would be able to see which capacity I'm using or which license I'm using. So when we go, there's a workspace type, and things have changed over a period of time. Previously, it used to be license, and now we are calling it workspace type. And if you look here, the workspace type is fabric, and I'm using a fabric F2 capacity. It's a paid capacity. When you see this kind of SKU, it is a paid. If you click on edit, you can go and see I do have some trial capacities. I can use that, but here I will not be able to do. The reason for that is basically because I want to use Copilot. So the first Copilot experience which I'm going to do is I'm going to open a Dataflow Gen 2 and I'm going to show you. So what is Dataflow Gen 2? Those of you are not aware of that, basically it's a uh, studio where we can bring in the data from 200 plus sources and also can transform it. It does it using M language. Previously we have most of the things available via the ribbon item or the menu item. This you can do it using low code, no code, but definitely advanced. If you know little advanced M, you can actually go ahead and code it also. That was possible. So what I've done is from the right hand side top here, now I probably should be able to highlight. I already filtered Dataflow Gen 2 in my workspace, and that's why you are only seeing Dataflow Gen 2. And I've already opened one Dataflow, and I already loaded data using get data. So that step I'm not going to show. And when I clicked on this Copilot icon on the right top, the Copilot is open. Now it is open for questions. I can ask questions. So let me click on the sales table. And if you see, I have a custom edit column here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these columns, which I've added using Copilot previously. And I'm going to ask another question. Now, if that question does not work out, because sometimes it is a little sensitive when initially it started to, what we write down, like if we write down sales as a query instead of query as a table, sometimes it used to get confused. But we are going to try it today. So add a new column in sales query, comma, gross equals to quantity multiplied by price. And let's try that. Is it able to understand that? So what I'm saying is now I'm not a person who knows how to even use these menu options. I know I have a add column and I can go and multiply and then add it. I'm not the person even wanted to know that. I just wanted to go ahead and type in natural language, and you can see it has added a column, and you can see added column quantity multiplied by price. And that's the reason people are talking these days, okay, can non-engineers can do this job. So now it is more about logics, how you approach the problem. So some of you might have studied that algorithm as a subject, where we used to write down language independent code, and sometimes we also used to have, like, the instruction which are in the flow charts. So why we learned all those subjects? Because we need to understand the logic, how the thing works. Now here you don't need to know even the M query or even the menu option where they are lying. You're just typing it and you're able to get it done. So things are made so easy here. Okay. Now we are able to do, okay, this is simple multiplication. Can we get a complex column? We're going to say again, same thing, add a new column in sales query where, let's say, QTY type, if quantity equals to 1, then low, quantity equals to 2, medium, else high. Or you can use if else or whatever. It's not a, because I'm a basically from coding background, I may be writing if. You could be little more uh, you know more in the text format, basically just giving the logic. So as you can see, it has actually added low, medium, and high based on the quantity. So now I am not using any M query, not using even the options. It's writing down the code. It's able to write down the if logic also. I'm happy with that. I say, okay, no, why we don't go one step further? Why shouldn't I add a new query? So add a new query by joining sales query and item query and expand item to get brand. Okay, so I'm asking it to, by merging, let's say use merge. And let's see, does it understand? So what I'm asking here is basically to combine two tables. And I this time I'm even not given the column. I'm not sure how it's going to do it. So I left it to its own choice to, join based on those columns. So we'll see whether it is able to identify item ID. Item ID is a common column or not. So we will see that. And I'm on F2 capacity. So, okay, it's not able to understand. So we'll say, okay, we'll try it again. Let's try. And meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll take out my previous instruction. Sometimes these things doesn't work. So I just kept the standard instruction with me. Okay, it's not able to do. So I'm putting my old instruction. Okay, so somehow today the instruction is not working. Let me do one thing. Let me close the Copilot, open it again. If it doesn't work, we'll come out of this and we'll explore other experiences. But yes, in the past it does have worked and it does have created the new queries, custom queries. Sometimes it happens that the language of the instruction it is not able to understand, so we have to change it a little bit. Second is I'm on F2 capacity, so it does have a limited capability to go ahead and understand this. So right now it is not working, but yes, we can do these tasks, and then we can even ask question and try to get some answers. So in this manner, we can work with Dataflow Gen 2. Now, this is one example. We have worked with Dataflow Gen 2. Now, what happens when we get the data from Dataflow Gen 2, we will land it to some lakehouse or warehouse. Now, I might want it to run these query on some lakehouses and warehouses. So let me see, do I have a lakehouse or warehouse available here? So I have this sales lakehouse, which I'm going to open now. And in this sales lakehouse, I should have all those 4 tables only. And meanwhile, let me check the chat window if we have some questions. I don't see any question. Okay.
We have one question, Amit, in the Q&A. Okay, let me tell you. Can we do complex data cleaning as well with Copilot? Preeti has asked that question.
Yes, I think in the notebooks you should be able to do Dataflow Gen 2. I think we should be also able to do. But yes, sometime it doesn't behave just like we tried something out and it did not behave as expected. These kind of behaviors can happen because this is really early stage as of now. But we should be able to do complex transformation. I have tried that out. But yes, don't expect it to be as good as your Chat GPT or maybe what you call the cloud of the world. Right now, it does a good job, but it's still not at the same level at that one. So what I've done here is to showcase some of that. I have opened my Lakehouse SQL Analytics endpoint, and here I'm building a new query. And in that new query, I'm going to build it with the help of Copilot. See, I have no relationship here between the tables because there's no way to tell actually. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask, can you, okay, so show brand wise gross sales, and let's check, do we have a gross column here? Okay, first of all, I want to make sure that do I have a gross column here. So you don't see a gross column here. So brand wise gross sales, I'm just asking. Now I have not told here where is brand, what is the formula for gross, and just based on my assumption item ID is a key, it should go ahead and do that job. It doesn't, okay, and you can see it did give a query, and let's put that query here. So look at this, select I brand, It has automatically taken from DBO items, and it has done an inner join with sales on item ID, group by brand, and sum of quantity multiplied by gross sales. Quantity multiplied by price to give gross sales, and order by gross sales descending. There's no definition of gross sales here. It's used the generic knowledge to bring in the gross sales. You can execute and try out. And sometime I did saw, why I'm running it here, because I saw in the past there is some problem. It has query, some comma or additional. So you might have to fix that. And that's where our role comes in. Okay. Not everything by machine. Now I wanted to do same query, but by net. And what I'm going to say here is brand wise net sales, and net sales is gross multiply by 1 minus discount percent by 100. I can tell you, I can even give the formula in the text, but just to save the time, I'm trying this out. And let's see, it's able to now calculate net. Sometimes I've seen it understand net, sometimes other times it did still bring the gross formula. Those things have happened with me in past. But let's see, the things are maturing over a period of time. Let's create a space here. Hopefully we got a little better definition now. And as you can see, I have not told the gross formula. It automatically taken this formula, and it already done that null is null multiply by net sales and done that job. Okay. So what is happening here is we are just writing it in natural language and able to do it. Now let me see if I have some complex queries already in. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask next question. Highest city by net. I'm now not supplying the net definition. Is it going to take the older context? Just before this query, I asked about net. So I'm now checking, is it going to take the context and give me top? Okay. It did take in the older context, the definition. And somehow it did not get me the top 1 city. But I think the query seems right to me. Let me see top 100. And this is where our role comes in, but why it's not working. Let's see. The older one worked, isn't it? Let's try this one. So seems like it did get confused with the net sales formula. Let's replace it. Oh, it has put an unnecessary clause, where clause here. Okay, it got confused. I think it's giving city-wise query, and it got confused brand as B. That's why it is doing that. But we got it, and we could have done top 1. So our instruction might not be very clear. It got confused because of that. But you can see it can do the join. Okay. Now let's ask a little vague query. Okay. Give me net and join it with all dimensions to show. And I'm not mentioning what all dimensions are. Okay. To show common dimension attribute, show sample 1000 rows. Spelling mistake, everything which I could have done, I've done it here. Okay. Let's try this out. So what we are doing here is now we are asking it to join with the dimensions. We are not specifying what are those dimensions. If we give better instruction, we can expect better output. So I'm not saying that, okay, you go and give the instruction. We are just telling you the capabilities here. Okay, but doesn't mean that I'm going to give little vague instruction. The better instruction you give, the better you articulate your problem, the better chances are there it's going to solve the problem easily. But you can see it has do all the joins. It did bring in, see, all the attributes from different dimensions. And it's showing me top 1000 rows. So, and you did talk about the complex ETL. This is what we can do it here. Okay, so it's able to do these jobs. So this is the lakehouse part. Let me see if I do have any other lakehouse query. I think top cities we have done prove by analyzing. So, and then we have a Copilot in the notebook. Can that also help? That might be question at our end. Okay. So we'll go back to the lakehouse endpoint, and meanwhile, I can, while that is opening, I can check if there is any question, and can someone tell me if there is any question? Okay, so I'm back at my lakehouse, and there I'm going to use this new notebook option, and let's see, do we have a Copilot in the notebook, because we are doing our transformation in the notebooks, isn't it? We love these days notebooks. So I opened a new notebook, and the reason I opened it from lakehouse, I wanted it to attach it here. Okay, the same lakehouse, the tables, Copilot, get started. Okay. Same query, give me top 10 brands by gross. Connect your session. Okay, so we have to connect. So start a new standard session. It is helping in case we are not giving the correct set of instruction. It does tell, okay, you have to connect. I can't generate a query if your Spark engine is not running. Is that the thing it is asking or something else? Let's try it again. Okay, now we have a Spark engine running, started in 9 seconds, and now we are again trying. And remember, Spark may end up consuming my capacity, so I would not be asking too many queries here because it run multi-node thing. It usually run 10 extra small nodes for everything what we do, and that could actually consume a lot of capacity. Or I'm already there on a smaller capacity like F2, and Copilot also consumes your CUs, compute units, and I'm hoping till the end of my session the things will survive. In between, let me see if I have any questions on the chat window. I don't see any questions, but please keep on posting it here. Let's wait for it to complete and post that. Now we will we have seen lakehouse and we have seen lakehouse SQL point, so we don't need to see warehouse. We will see, can we do these things while creating a report? So we would like to see, can we create a report or can we do a query on a report? So those type of things we are also going to explore. I think there is a question, why does it taking time into the PySpark notebook? Yes, the reason for that is, one, I'm running on a very small capacity, and the same capacity is running Spark code as well as this Copilot, which means end up consuming the CUs. This requires a little more, compute units to generate these kind of output, and probably I'm going to show you the code, but may not run it just to save some of the compute units at my end. So look at this. Sales.df spark.read.table sales item spark.read.table.item, and let me stop the Spark session because anyway I'm not planning to run it. And then sales items, sales.df.join item df sales df.item id equals to item df.item id inner join. So it's given that query. And then gross by brand, sales item dot group by. Now, if so basically we need group by and those things, and I'm pretty sure it may give some import library errors because these are SQL functions. And then we have group by brand dot agg, and then it is sum of quantity multiply by price aliases as gross and order by and limit top 10 and show. Okay, so it generated the complete code. The only thing which I'm finding missing basically is some of the imports are missing, and there are high chances that import of the SQL functions might cause an issue here. But that is where our role comes in, that we take advantage of these systems and we just go ahead and fulfill the gaps which are there. And as the machine improving, you will see lesser and lesser gaps. But now you can see we have seen this similar kind of stuff. We went to Dataflow Gen 2. We asked almost similar questions. The question get answered. We got a new column. We went to SQL endpoint. We asked a similar set of questions, multiple of such questions. We got the answers. We are doing it on notebooks. So now what is the language we are using here? Our language is one only, natural language. Right now we are asking in English because that's the language we are preferring here. But based on the support, you can ask in all the supported language. So what does that mean is basically programming now is more about logical thinking than learning the language. Definitely you need more and more practice to find out and resolve the issues which will come as experience, and you should be able to find some of those solutions by debugging or some of those solutions by looking at the documentation. But it is more about thinking how it is going to work and just articulate it well, so that the Copilot or the co-work can do the job for us. It should increase your efficiency of doing the same thing. Now, some of you might be a little concerned about the speed of Copilot. These are just depending on our capacities, and definitely cost is another factor. I don't want to have a cost of 2 developers just by the Copilot by using 1 person if the efficiency is not coming out 3. So those are the realistic challenge, because if the Copilot consumes more capacity or more computes than even having manually writing it, let's say I could have written this code in 5 minutes without any Copilot. But what happens if I ask it Copilot, and Copilot, assuming it's a little faster, consumes the capacity which is more than 5 minutes? Then there's no benefit actually. So all these things are the things which is coming and getting improved day by day. The Copilot efficiency, the cost related to compute units are getting improved. Now we've seen these things, but end user doesn't interact with neither the PySpark nor the SQL nor Dataflow Gen 2. They like Power BI reports, and they would like to interact with Power BI reports. And our Power BI developers also create those reports, and they would also like to query these data, isn't it? So can we analyze this data using Copilot? Okay. So I'm opening a report, and this is first version which you are going to see is the Copilot version for the Power BI end user version. My previous observation about the end user version of the Copilot is that it limits itself to the visual. The second observation is it limits itself to the visual in the report. And what we are looking at, answer based on the model. So as the Copilot is improving day by day, let's see where it is answering. So what I'm going to ask again is my favorite question. Give me top 10 brands by net. And I'm going to put net into the double quotes because I do have a total net column here, and that creates some problem. So knowingly I have put net into the double quotes. But in futures, when you are going to design your semantic models, which are going to be used by Copilots, and remember, after 2 years, you may not have any reports. You are not going to create any measures which are like total, MTD, QTD, YTD. You will leave that job to the Copilot to create those formula runtime and do it. So my model should be a little more simpler, handling the measures which are base measure required, and rest of the things we are assuming that by at the end of next 1 or 2 years, the Copilot should be able to take. And if this Copilot is taking a little more time, I may have to change the capacity. But meanwhile, while it is bringing it out, let me see if you have any questions. Okay, I think some of you are commenting is good for data analysts. Yes, it is good starting, because it can give you DEX formulas, it can give you the code, and then you can start learning. So you learn a little bit of basics, and now you can work. And with this, you can keep on improving. But one thing we have to remember, that every time we are using Copilot, we need to make sure that we are learning something. Okay, it should not be that our work is getting done by Copilot and we don't take advantage of learning something out of it. Because if you don't learn, it can replace. Because think about it, like now I'm just top management might not need a report. We don't need a report developer. We only need the semantic models. Then even if the semantic model can be designed by giving just instruction, then you don't even need semantic model. You just need the person who can say, okay, these are the joins, and that's done. So even a business analyst who understand business well and not understand technology well can do it. So every time we are using such kind of things, the first focus, the primary focus should be on learning. Okay, so and look at the data it has come out. The brand 8 leads with the net value of this much, brand 13 closely with this. And I can tell you, I'm seeing real improvement over the kind of outcome which I've seen in the past. And let me ask one more question. Top 10 customers by quantity. Because I'm assuming I don't have a measure for quantity and the customer, because brand, you can see a visual here. It was pretty easy for him to go and answer that. So while it is searching for it, you can paste your questions into the chat window.
Yeah, there is one question, Amit. So Preeti has asked, will organizations allow to use Copilot in real-time projects as data security or government's point of view?
See, understand, when we say Copilot, it's part of the ecosystem. It means your data is secure. So when you are using the chat GPT separately, which is not there, or the free version or the cloud free version, they takes your data outside the organization. But when you are taking from, let's say, Azure chat GPT version or Azure's cloud version, or when you take CoWorks, you have to read the documentation still carefully. They are not going to take your code out. So they are not going to learn from that. They are only going to suggest that. So when you have the embedding inside the Visual Studio Code, the ideal expectation is that it is not it is not taking your code back for learning. That's the expectation, but just make sure it is happening. So, and in such cases, organizations are aligned. See, ultimately, nothing is created for free use. So all these things would be taken care by, not making sure that the machine do not learn from your data. But yes, there could always be, loopholes, which definitely need to be looked at the documentation very carefully. But yes, organizations are using the code CoWorks very heavily, Copilots very heavily these days. And I can tell you, more than the developers, the business user are waiting for these things, because think about how many dashboards you are going to create, how many majors you are going to create. You cannot put everything which I want. So I will have some additional question. And this is what, every time used to happen in the BI cycle. We used to take months, we create a dashboard, we go, and the requirement by that time is changed. And we go back to the seat again, right? And then the cycle never keeps on ending between the business and the developers. But here you are just become an enabler. Okay, you go and ask whatever you want. And it can create dashboards or whatever you want. You want a dashboard, it's also going to create. You want to ask questions without dashboard, it's also going to do that. So with that, let's go to the edit mode and see, can it create a page for us? And then what should we start learning? Can you provide structured roadmap of what should we learn resources? See, I always still believe that, you should focus on the core technology and still understand the nuances of it. Especially in the Power BI, I can still see the DAX, which is generated by all the tools, are little less mature compared to SQL or Java, because those things are, you can say, completely sorted out. You can get most of the Java code or SQL code for all your problems. But understand, when it fails, who's going to find and fix it? You have to find it. So you need to have deep knowledge of the subject. Always start with the basic. That textbook of Python, that textbook of Power BI, go ahead and read it. I have videos on that you can watch on my channel. Please go ahead and make sure your core skills are really strong. you need to have really good core skills to make sure when you get the code, you can see, okay, this looks good, this is optimized code, there is nothing required in that. And then you can take full advantage of these tools to make it work for, so that you can improve your efficiency. Let's say you do in 8 hours, you can deliver not 1% work, 2% or 3% work. That's a full advantage you take. With that, now we are going to see, do we really need to create a page, or can it create a page also? So create a report page. It's suggesting create a report page to analyze. And again, I'm going to give net in double quotes because I have a total net. It always get confused. Let's see if does it work this time. Net by brand, category, and let's say city, state, and provide brand. So we are asking to create a new page, and the new page should analyze net by brand, category, state, and provide trends. Let's see, is it able to create a page? So now what is happening here is basically we are not even creating a page. We are just asking it to create a page by just giving some instructions. And this entire page will get generated automatically for us. No more drag and drop of visual. See, I'm not sure you're able to see my hands are away. I'm not dragging and dropping anything. You've seen a page created in front of you, and this time I can say it's done a little faster job than what it was doing in by Spark. And you have one full page, total net value, average net value, and it does use I'm happy that it used the correct net measure here, because every time I have this complaint with this one, that it always use the total net measure, which actually it has used here. Oh, this time it has used the net measure, not the total net. That's a great thing. And look at this, in the page, it did have added the categories and brand. What I've seen very recently in one of the video on the Claude, that it is talking that, it can generate your PowerPoints and document on your themes with the color theme and the logos and everything. You can expect that this page will getting generated with your defined set of themes, with your defined set of template going forward. This is very early stage. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You just need to type it correctly. So you need to know what I need. You should be able to define it what I need, and you can give it. And that is also, if you're not able to articulate, go and chat GPT and ask, I need to define it correctly, and you just go and type it here and tell him in the minimal word, give it for me, this particular tool, it is going to give it to you. So now, as an end user, I'm able to analyze. I'm developer, I'm able to create. As a developer, I'm able to ingest the data. I'm able to transform the data. I'm able to query complex ETLs, and I'm able to also create my things in my Power BI reports and this one. And before I jump to the data agent, just wanted to see, and this is something I have also not explored, just wanted to see if it is already there for semantic model. We'll go back to our workspace. They're not going to change the changing. Let me see if I do have semantic model. So we'll just quickly have a look at it. And because we are now running short on the time, I'm just going to simply jump on a data agent. So let's look, there is no icon here. Let's go to the Copilot. I'm opening the semantic model to see if in the edit mode I'm getting Copilot or not. So no button here because it's in viewing mode, and let's see. And I think Copilot is something you as a developer might be waiting, don't have to create some measures, okay? That's I'm also waiting for, but so right now we don't see any button here unless some of you noticed down and I missed out. So we don't have a Copilot here, but yes, on the deck in the edit mode, you can try out, asking some measure definition and creating it. So the last item for the day is basically the data agent, which are the future. Basically, here you bring in the data from multiple sources and then go ahead and just write down the queries. Again, then you can define certain instruction. So I'm going to show you what all you need, and then we'll go to work on one of the data agent which is already existing. So how do you create a new data agent? So you click on the new items on the left hand top and you search for data agent. Again, data agent may have something at the tenant level to get approved. So data agent still under preview. Click on that, and this UI has changed a little bit. Those who have seen in the past, data agent Fab 2026, create. And the good thing here is I can bring the data from a lakehouse. I can bring data from a semantic model also. And I've seen it works wonderfully well with the data which we are even bringing from the lake houses. It doesn't require corrections and everything. Okay, so we have to add the data first step, and you can use Azure AI search or data sources. We are going to use the existing data sources here, and let's search for the lake houses. I'm going to use the lake house which is in this workspace, and okay, sales lakehouse. I have knowingly put the filter of 0101 workspace, which is the current workspace, so that I am going to pick the correct lakehouse. After that, it does allow you to select certain tables. Definitely, it can bring the entire schema. You might not need it. Then we have few things like we have this agent instruction where you can provide the agent instruction, and then we also have some sample queries which we can use. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is let me cross the agent instruction without giving instruction. Let's just ask the similar questions which we have asked in the past, isn't it? So what we have asked about the gross sales. I'm using the typed question, already typed question, so that you save a little time. So basically, if you are using the SQL, the sample queries which you have to provide, you might have to provide it in SQL. If you are using the DAX one, you have to provide it in DAX. Okay, I mean semantic model. Okay, so how it has done it. So if you look at this, you can actually see the responses one step completed. And if you go down, it does give you breakup, and it does tell you how it bought all these things. Okay, so let's try one more query. So I asked top 10 cities by net. Net is gross minus discount amount. Discount percentage is absolutely need to be divided by 100. Okay, so it does have created quantity, price in quantity multiplied discount percentage. Okay, this complex formula it has given me. Okay, and you see it's part of the query. The same thing I've asked a little differently here, mostly in the text. And this time, see, there's no formula here. Still, it is able to figure it out. Very good. It can write down SQL, isn't it? And then I have agent instructions which I can copy paste. So I do have some agent instructions, but for most of the time, because my data is really simple, it did work really well. Okay, so you can have it here, and once you give it, you should be able to see it in the markdown text below, and that should help you define the agent instructions. And then we have this setup here. We are conducting fire alarm system testing in your plant. Okay, you might see a fire alarm testing which is ongoing here. Okay, so then you have this data source instruction. Okay, so data agent level instruction, data source, describe what data source it is, what is it represent, why someone might use to answer the questions, and then example queries which you have to set. So this is a little different thing which has happened. In the past, we only have the agent instruction and example queries, but now under instruction, you have agent instruction, data source instruction, and example queries. Okay, so we can give that, and you can set up those and define it. I'm going to close all of them, but what I wanted to do here is Can I add?
We are conducting the fire alarm system testing in your premises. Please ignore the alarm. Do not get panicked. Once the testing is completed, we will inform you. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to use this one now. Now I'm trying to make system get a little confused, and you can start typing your question meanwhile it is adding it. Because once it add that, I plan to remove the sales lakehouse tables and ask the similar set of questions. Okay, so now you can see it has come here, and so item, sales, geography, customer, and there should be something for majors. Okay, majors. And let me go ahead and uncheck everything in the sales lakehouse. And let's see what happens if I ask the same question. Now, no more lakehouse. Semantic model is the only thing which is available here. And we are trying to ask the same question. And still it is running some query, so still it's taking the older context. But this time it did not given me the answer. Okay, clear the chat. So it forgot the history and try the question out again with the only semantic model.
పరీక్షిస్తున్నాము. దయచేసి అలారంను విస్మరించండి మరియు భయపడవద్దు. పరీక్ష పూర్తయిన తర్వాత
Okay, so while it is doing that, I'll open it for Q&A, but this time you can see the query is getting generated is the DEX query. So yes, to clear sometime the context, you need that.
Hi, Amit.
Open
Thanks
for Q&A.
Hi, Amit.
Yeah. Hi, Rajinder. How are you, sir?
Fine. Thank you so much, Amit, for giving the session. There are some questions from Jai Ram. Jai Ram, just unmuted yourself. So can you please ask your questions?
Hello. Yeah, hi, Amit.
Yes.
Actually, I joined late. I joined in the middle of the session. So my questions I have put in the chat. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, one of your question I already put to the Copilot itself. Net sales by cumulative, week over week, MOM, QOQ, and all those things. I do expect it to create certain kind of formulas. To be very frank, I do expect, if I'm not given the date table, so I'm a little doubtful about that. But I do expect Copilot to create that. Now, if it is not completely able to do right now, I expect at least 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line, I don't need to create any measure other than my base measures, and it should be able to take care of MOM, QOQ, YOY. And if I define, let's say, a date ranges of my period, it should be able to do that. But we have to understand Power BI time intelligence is a little more oriented towards the date table and how we configure it. And recently we got enhancement where we can define the calendars. So definitely is going to take advantage of that. But yes, my expectation with the base measure, it should be able to do that job. And I did get a response. I can share my screen and see. Okay, let me show my screen. I do have measures basically, so probably it would have taken advantage of that. But see, it does. So if you see this, it has calculated prior month -1, MOM percentage it has calculated, then QOQ it does it to -1 quarter, -1 year. So it does that job. Okay, so see, it's, and for last week it has taken -7 days. So it did that job, and then you can do little improvement. Let's say if you don't want trailing one, then definitely there are chances of improvement. So it's really powerful. I addressed, I think, one of your questions. Then the next one is dynamic comparison between 2 years parameters. Now define a range and ask question. I am pretty sure that it should use date betweens and do it, or you say current year versus previous year. It should be able to find it out. I don't have a data for current year versus prior year, so maybe it get errored out. So typically what I've done in SQL, I've done that. I said find the max date and compare that month with the last month, and it was able to successfully do that. How
The
can we
first
convert?
question,
Please go ahead.
the previous question, does it give only basic DAX or complex tests like ranking by group wise, field parameters?
I'm assuming it should be able to do that. So I have asked the
Okay.
QOQ MOQ question. It did give an answer. I'm also hoping that it should be able to give the answer with the rank. There could be challenge that instead of rank, it use rank X, because the rank X is a little older and it has more training on rank X than the rank. So you might expect those rank X answer, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to do good. I did able to generate the rank measure in the past. I was not able to force him to use the window function and the rank function in the past when I asked it, because by that time when I was using, it was not so much trained on that. But it should be able to do it. Just go ahead and try that out.
Okay. Okay. And for example, like the searches which we are doing, right? The asks and all. Can we convert all the SQL that it is giving as output, right? So those output can we convert into a PySpark notebook, and that notebook should run it and store the output in a separate table. Is it possible that kind of?
See, so there is a notebook for T-SQL in case you need. You can go ahead and create that T-SQL notebook, or you can paste the queries which you are generating. So I'm assuming T-SQL notebook also will have a Copilot which is doing the job. If you're using PySpark notebook, definitely it can generate all the codes, and then you can put it in your pipeline or schedule it.
Okay, okay. So that we have to do it manually. So that okay, I should do this.
Yeah, scheduling pipeline is something which is, I don't think they have given a code right now, but I'm assuming that should be very soon, sooner or later.
No,
The way the technology is evolving. Yeah.
not scheduling. Like the outputs which it is giving, right? The Q&A which we are asking, and the queries which it is giving, and the output which we are getting. So that output table to insert into a separate
Okay,
table.
output table. Actually, for SQL, you might have to ask create a table instead of just giving the output. Create a table. It can create a table, and in the PySpark code, you can say save this to the lakehouse, the schema. It should be able to add the code.
Okay. And for example, now the Fabric has come, right? In the Fabric now we have got the direct click connection. So when we are creating this Power BI charts, right? Like how do we give? We ask like to make use of the semantic model
See,
with
so
the
right
direct
now
click
the
connection.
report is already connected to a semantic model, so it is using that semantic model only. So right now we are from scratch. I doubt we can create a report. There is something centrally came in the starting of the homepage also. I've not tried that out, that it can create a report from scratch by selecting a semantic model. But whenever we are creating the report, the semantic model is already being selected there, and it could be import mode, direct lake mode, or direct query mode. It's already selected in a particular mode.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. And there is one more question from Devendra. Unmute yourself, Devendra. You can speak.
Hi, Amit. Hi, Rajendra.
Hi.
Hello, both.
Yeah, Amit. So my question is like, if we create a F2 capacity, how much the monthly charges would be, and all the options of F64 won't be available, right?
See, understand for Fabric we required at least one capacity. So I'm started with the minimum F2. F2 is $262 per month when you run it on demand, a complete month. You get 41% discount around $160 or something if you commit to it, and that's the East Coast prices. Prices in India could be a little different, or in other regions could be a little different, or maybe less or more. Now F64 gives you one big thing, which is basically it removes the limit on some of the limits on your semantic model size, and it also gives you free viewers. Prior to F64, view Power BI, and that is only Power BI. Power BI, anyone who's using or consuming Power BI require license, and that's only Power BI. If you are doing Spark notebooks, you don't require license. If you are using data warehouse, you don't require. But if you're using creating or using Power BI reports, then you require license. After X64, the viewer doesn't require license. You can share the reports with the viewer. But I'm little not sure what would happen to the Copilot when it starts to the semantic model. I'm assuming that's also viewer. So it should work with those users also. Even without F64, we should be able to. I think we are able to query on F2, so it should be there. And in fact, I was able to create a report, but I do have a license here. So we have to see that whether when using Copilot, I don't think you would be able to create report or add pages, but you should be able to query on the existing report even with F2 capacity.
And how much is the when I tried the Copilot for creating some UDF functions, it is not giving the perfect answer. It's a lot of to and fro I did, so still it is not mature, right?
Yes, that's what I said initially also. Don't think the Copilots are as mature as your ChatGPT or Claude. Still, it has not reached to that stage. It is still maturing. And so basically, understand that this had little lesser knowledge about the ecosystem. So you will see Copilot works really great with SQL. You will see it will work little lesser with the DEX, especially with DEX. I see the struggle, especially even ChatGPT sometimes doesn't give the best of the DEX. But yes, if you are writing SQL code or Python code, I think it should do good job. But yes, something which is new, which is basically user data function, not enough examples are there to train. It is just a training basically. More the example it has, more it can learn. So Fabric is a new ecosystem, might not have enough example for it, the system to learn. And that is why the syntax wise and the things may have come out not so well. But when you ask SQL question, there's tons of things which has been done in the last 30 years. So it has enough example to generate that. So that's the.
What would you suggest for suppose I want to do first UDF? So Cloud or ChatGPT, which one is better then in that case?
These days, I am seeing the Claude doing much better job, but I have equally good experience with the ChatGPT. I think looking at costs, you can adopt one. I usually free version of Claude is also doing good job. I do a paid version of GPT, so I can't tell how much it is doing with the free version now. But yeah, Claude with the free version, I've recently tested out quite a few things, and it does a really good job in giving the what code you need.
Thanks, Amit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amit. So thanks for your time. I hope you're in the Microsoft event. Thanks for
Yes.
sharing this. And next, we're going to have a lunch break for 1 hour. I'm just posting next schedule.